Hey everyone, welcome back to the Rare Finds channel. In my hand I have a Radius fluffy and a Bubblebee fluffy, and we're going to be seeing the similarities and differences between the two. So these are mainly for small omnidirectional microphones, so if you're interested in that, keep on watching. I also just want to start off by saying that I was sent both of these for free by each company, so I don't have a personal favourite. I'm not sponsored to make this video either, I just thought it'd be quite good to show you lot the similarities and differences between the two, so you can go out and pick which one fits your rig the best. And without further ado, let's get into it. So a side-by-side comparison of the two. The Radius one does have longer fur, and the Bubblebee one looks like it's just been trimmed a lot shorter. It's about that thick, and then the Radius one has like different lengths of the fur. The Bubblebee one seems like it's got a little bit more padding inside compared to the Radius one. I don't know if it feels that way because it's got like this rubber plastic bit on the bottom which holds its rigidity, but they both compress quite a bit. They're also very similar in size next to each other. If I were to compress some of the Radius fur, they're pretty much identical in size. It's just that the Radius one has a little bit longer fur, so it looks a bit bigger. In terms of weight, the Radius one is a little bit lighter. I'm pretty sure it was around 4.7 grams, and the Bubblebee one is, I've got it written down here, 5.9 grams. So a tiny bit lighter. It's not really that much in it. It's probably also just because it's got the rubber bit on the bottom for the Bubblebee one. So the current price as of like the start of 2025, the Radius one comes in at £48. I'm going to do it as pounds because that's what I use. And the Bubblebee one, with the conversion rate at the moment, that one online it said it was £54.45. So a little bit more expensive, but it might change depending on conversion rate or where you are. So what are they mainly designed for? For me, I would say they're mainly designed for using on small omnidirectional microphones. So something like the Oaka instruments, the small Verdi mics, or the LOM Usi Pro mics. So here's the Oaka instruments, prototype ones that I'm testing out, and here's the LOM Usi Pro. So they're perfect for these sort of mics. These mics are also what I'll be using to demonstrate the fluffies. So attaching the fluffies to the microphone, it's pretty simple. We'll start off with the Radius one first. So you have to hook this little blue strap over the microphone and then slide on the fluffy over the top. The blue strap is quite handy because if the fluffy does fall off, it's still got like this grippy blue strap to hold it on. And now onto the Bubblebee one. It's got this kind of molded rubber grip which sticks on really firmly. I really like this molded grip. I found it's easier to attach if you pinch the fluffy a bit, so it opens up the hole, and then you can slide it onto the microphone a bit easier, because if you just try and ram it on, it doesn't slide on very easy. But yeah, pinching it just to open it up, and then you can close it back up again. That's been my method, and it's been working quite good. So this is the Radius fluffy on the end of the LOM Usi Pro mic, and this is a test just to see how well it stays on the end. I'm giving it some force to try and get it off. That little hook, especially on this LOM Usi Pro one, works really well at hooking over the little silver bit, and then just to pull the fluffy off. Takes a little bit of force, but that one comes off. And let's swap over to the Bubblebee one. Wiggle this one around. Yeah, see, both of them are really good at staying on the microphones. And then taking off the end, it takes a lot more force to get this fluffy off. There you go. So the rubber grip does really help this Bubblebee one stay on. So this is the Radius one now. If you did flick off the fluffy, the little blue bit keeps it attached. So for my use, these fluffies are ideal for if I want to take them in an everyday carry bag, something like this little North Face sling bag. I will have my Sony M10, and then I'll have a little stereo bar, maybe my Joby one, and I'll probably use those Oaka Instruments 3.5mm prototypes with this. I've been testing out the two small fluffies with this little everyday carry bag, and it's been really good. The one thing is, because this Radius one has longer fluff, I have found it's easier to get it caught in the zipper of the bag. But that's just a gripe that I have because I stuff way too much shit in this bag. Another thing, I think these fluffies will be brilliant for is drop rigs, because they're not too expensive and they stay on really well. So you're not going to be worried about them falling off sometime in the night or in the morning. That's my two main uses for these fluffies. If you have any other ideas on things to use them for, pop them in the comments below, or if you've been using them for something else, yeah, let myself and everyone else know what you've been using them for. So I'm going to sit up here with the Nano pole and then put that little stereo bar on top. So for this test, I'm going to have the Radius Fluffy on the right hand side microphone and the Bubblebee one on the left. And they are going to go into the Sony M10 using the Oaka Instruments Verdi microphones, the 3.5mm prototype microphones. What I'm going to do is talk into both of them at the same time and then solo the different microphones. Just make sure they're pointing towards me. I can see Hator in the distance. There's a little gust of wind. I can see it on both of the fluffies wiggling about a little bit. I can see Hator in the distance. There's a little gust of wind. I can see it on both of the fluffies wiggling about a little bit. Stood on top of a rock on Dartmoor with the sun in my eyes, talking into some mics and not actually saying anything of any worth. Stood on top of a rock on Dartmoor with the sun in my eyes, talking into some mics and not actually saying anything of any worth. So I've swapped the fluffies around. Now the Radius one is on the left and the Bubblebee one is on the right. And I'll solo them now. So at the moment you're hearing the Radius Fluffy soloed with a bunch of tractors in the distance. And now I'm going to swap over to the Bubblebee one soloed. And hopefully we've got the same amount of wind on both of the mics. And now I'll swap over to the Radius one. This one's Radius soloed. And then I will swap back over to the Bubblebee one, which is now soloed. And you can hear the difference between the two. So the wind has actually picked up, which is quite good for this. Yeah, let me know in the comments below which one you preferred the sound of. I won't know until I get back to the studio to actually listen to the recordings. But anyway, it's a good test nonetheless. Right, let's pack up and go to another spot. What are you stood there for? Come on. So I have hiked down to Becca Brook, and the idea I've sort of had is to record the sound of flowing water. We can listen to see if there's any big difference between the two fluffies, if they're colouring the sound at all. I think it'd be quite interesting to see if there's one which cuts off more high end than the other, or if they're just exactly the same. I was thinking recording the water because it's a little bit like listening to white noise. There's a stronger water, like rapids down there. We can record this gentle water first and then head down over there. So for this test, I'm going to start off with the Bubblebee fluffies first. So I've got both of the Bubblebee ones on, and I'll record that for about a minute and swap over to the Radius fluffies. Then we can hear the difference between the two. I'll just cut between the two shots and try and keep the microphones in exactly the same spot. Now what I'm going to do is put the Bubblebee one back on the left, and then I'm going to put these closer together and record both at the same time some of the water. See if I can get these quite close together, like that. Christ, I almost fell in. So I think it's time to move on to the final area of recording. I'm gonna wander down here and there is like a little waterfall bit where it should sound a bit more like white noise. That was a bit sploshy there. And hopefully that'll give you another good idea of the two fluffies. I'll do the same thing I did here at this little stream. So yeah, I'll crack on. So this is the spot that I was thinking. I've got this nice running water here, and I've got the microphone rig here, so the Oaka Instruments mics again, going into the Sony M10. I've got the Bubblebee one on the left and the Radius one on the right. And yeah, let's hit record and see what it sounds like. I think that'll be the end of my tests for today. Let me know in the comments below if you want me to do any other tests. I'll rewind back to where I'm sat on a log, where I do the outro. Yeah. So I'm back here, sat against this tree again to conclude this video. I'd be interested to hear what you lot think down in the comments below, which one you prefer. I do want to add that I am annoyed that these came out a year after I went traveling, because these are ideal for a small travel setup. Whoa, bollocks. Back to the matter at hand. Yeah, the Bubblebee fluffies, I do really love this rubber grip that they have. That works really well at keeping it on the microphones, even when I'm taking the microphones in and out of my bag, because I can be quite rough when I'm trying to get them quickly out of the bag to set up. They just stay on. Even though the Radius one doesn't have the rubber bit, it's got a little bit of grip inside, and this blue loop is a brilliant fail-safe for if the fluffy does fall off. So yeah, I can't really decide what ones I'm going to use. I'll use both. You'll see both in my videos because I got both. Yeah, hopefully I get to use these more on some hikes and trips this year. I've got a few planned and a few that I know I'll just wing it on the day and cock up as usual. Let me know in the comments below if you have a fluffy that you prefer the sound of from the tests that I've done. And yeah, as always, big loves, peace out, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.